You have questions?
What is slashing?
We have answers.
Slashing is like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And there's a penalty for that?
Yeah, you do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame, and then you get free.
This is CBJ in 30.
Anything you folks want to know about the fascinating world of pro hockey? Here we go.
Tweet your questions by using the hashtag CBJIN30.
We'd like to remind you folks, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Here's your host, Bob McGilligan.
And welcome to another CBJ in 30. Here on this Monday from Nationwide Arena, where the Blue Jackets are getting set to take on the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow night. And we'll still be looking to snap their losing streak, which now is sitting at 5 straight games after Saturday's 3-2 loss in New Jersey. One of the more disappointing losses of the season, to be honest with you. I don't know. To me, it was an avoidable loss on Saturday. What do I mean by that? Well, you come out and you set the tone in the game. You score the first goal of the game. You have things going in your favor. Then you take a penalty, you give up a power play goal against a good New Jersey power play, by the way. So that, I guess I can just sum it up like this. It was an avoidable loss because basically all you had to do was stay at even strength as much as you could, and they didn't. They kept going into the penalty box, and they kept taking penalties, and some of them were not questionable, but the question was, why did you do that? Like, why did you feel that you had to make that move, or why did you feel that you had to hook that guy in the hands, or just those kind of things. I always say there are some penalties that are very easy to avoid. Hooking is avoidable. Holding is avoidable. I guess they're all avoidable, but usually when you get into a hooking holding situation, that's because you're getting beaten. Now, that could be because you got stuck on the ice for a long time and it's an extended shift. That could be because you didn't anticipate well. There are a number of reasons for it, but usually when you have those grabbing penalties, the hooking penalties, the holding penalties, those are because you're getting beat, and that's the only thing you have left. Wow, I'm about to get beaten. What am I going to do? I got to grab the guy. So there was a lot of that going on the other day. Those kinds of penalties, not getting beat so much. I mean, if you look at the games Friday and Saturday, Toronto and New Jersey, I think without question, you would agree with me when I say that the better played game was the one on Saturday against the New Jersey Devils. The one that was played Friday was not. That's a forgettable game right there. The Saturday game was played much better. They came out with a lot of jump. As I said, they had the first goal of the game. They set the tone. Really had some things going on in that game. Then they give up the power play goal. It goes 1-1. And then, eventually you retake the lead and you go up 2-1. You're feeling pretty good about what's going on. And then all of a sudden, bam, bam, 2 goals. You went from being up 2-1 to down 3-2. You've only got about 10 minutes left in the third period to try to make it up. And you're playing the New Jersey Devils, who are notorious for slowing things down and, trapping you in the neutral zone and not allowing you to get into the zone, not allowing you to make, here, let me go into hockey lingo, not allowing you to make clean entries into the zone. So you're playing that kind of team, and now all of a sudden you have to rally. You have to get 1 to tie and 2 to win, and there are the lights. And that makes it tough. That makes it tough. So that's what happened on Saturday night. All that hard work kind of flies out the window thanks to the Devils. They get 2 power play goals, 2 of their 3 goals on the power play. And as I said, they were a good power play going into the game. You knew it. It was right there on paper. Stay out of the penalty box. This is what they do. And, oh well, didn't work out that way. So now you've got a 5-game losing streak. Now you're not in a world of trouble. I still, I'm like, you so much, you're looking at the panic button and you want to hit it. You just want to hammer that panic button and say, oh my gosh, here we go. Boom. We got to hit it right now. But I can't do it. I just can't do it yet. And it's just because of the guys that are out of the lineup and the guys that are on the verge of coming back. I just can't do it yet. You've got Carolina this week. They did win a game. And I think that's a good thing, to be honest with you. I think if they come in here winless against the team as beaten up as the Blue Jackets are, they're going to play. They're going to be really, really hungry. And I'm not saying they're not going to be hungry anyway. but I'm saying they've won. So a little bit of that desperation goes out of them because they've won a game. But not much. They're looking at it saying, we've got Columbus 2 times in a row, and they're really beaten up right now. And we could have a 3-game winning streak before this is all said and done. And the Blue Jackets, I'm sure, are looking at it and saying, we're playing a team that has 1 win, and we could snap a 5-game losing streak and have back-to-back wins by the time Tampa comes here on Saturday. And that's the direction I would like to go. That's my thought process. And if it's my thought process, I guarantee it's their thought process. No question. So, and that's really, I want to say that's what's got to happen. It's not that it's got to happen, but it sure would be nice if that would happen. Because this group has no confidence right now. You've lost 5 in a row. You're playing well in New Jersey. You've got the lead in the 3rd period, and it's gone like that. Confidence starts to erode in these kind of situations. You'll say all the right things. They'll say, well, we can still win with guys that we have. We've got to play hard. We have to play within the system. We have to, whatever. You say all the right things, and you mean them. But in the back of your mind, as soon as something bad happens, you're going, uh-oh, here we go again. Bright spot Saturday. Really like the play of Brian Gibbons. Really like the play. He did what I thought he would do, and probably what you thought he would do. He was the guy we saw in the playoffs last year in a Penguins uniform on Saturday night. He was. Sets up the first goal of the game. Beautiful pass to Jack Skilly for a tuck-in goal. He used his speed and his quickness. He was all over the place. He was very, very good. The funny thing about that line is Nick Foligno was playing in the middle. And Todd Richards even said afterwards, I put a little bit of a burden on Nick to have him play center. But I don't think it really was a burden whatsoever. I think he played very well there. Complimented those 2 guys, and that's because he compliments everybody he plays with. But he did well with those 2 guys, and he did well in the faceoff circle against the Devils. I mean, he's again, I guess maybe from now on, when I talk about guys with versatility, and I tend to lean on guys like Mark Letestu because he can play everywhere. Nick Foligno's got to go into that conversation. I always forget about him. We're going into this season. I didn't look at him like that, I guess. I mean, he's a winger. I know he can play any line. I get that. But now here he played in the middle the other night. He can play on any line. He's on the top line. He's on the second line. He's power play, penalty kill. He can do it all. Versatility. Thought he was great the other night. I was scared to death when Jack Johnson hit him with that shot. And he got up late in the 2nd period and skated right over to the bench and down the tunnel to the dressing room. That looked ugly. Fortunately, he came back in the 3rd period. And I'll say he was fine. I'll say he's fine because I saw the mark on his shoulder after the game. He wasn't fine, but he was playable. Simple as that. Cody Golubev also left that game on Saturday. He was helped off the ice. He walked onto the plane after the game. He did not skate here this morning. A couple of guys didn't skate this morning. He didn't. Ryan Murray wasn't on the ice today. Scott Hartnell wasn't on the ice today. Maintenance days, I would imagine. And guys that were on the ice, though, a couple of good news pieces here. Matt Calvert and Boone Jenner were on the ice taking regular shifts with Alexander Wenberg today. So hopefully that means they're ready to go tomorrow night. That would be a big boost to put those 2 guys back into the lineup. It would give you more tenacity. I don't know how Boone's going to be early on when it comes to scoring goals and getting back to where he was last year. He had 16 in his rookie year last year. But, the tenacity will be there from him, that's for sure. And get him around the net. Give him a chance. Speaking of Wenberg, let me touch on him before I get to your questions today. I thought that Alexander Wenberg, after having a very strong start to the season and then tailing off on the California trip and being, to me, I was not really pleased with him at all on Friday. I was disappointed with him on Friday because I thought that he was given a great opportunity on Friday. Hi, Russ. I thought he was given a great opportunity on Friday to go in the middle and play center, and I thought for that night he blew that opportunity. Didn't take advantage of it and didn't play the way that he should have played at all. But I thought Saturday he was much better. I thought he was a lot better on Saturday, and he did all the little things, winning faceoffs, blocking shots, making passes, all of those things. So I thought he rebounded nicely on Saturday from his position playing at center. All right, what do you think? What do you have on your mind today? That is, of course, the number one question. And if you haven't already tweeted me, you can do so at Bobby Mac Sports and use the hashtag CBJN30. So here we go. Jess wants to know any IR updates, any injured reserve updates. Yeah, basically what I just told you. Jenner and Calvert were skating today. The guys just went off the ice, so they'll be talking now. We'll get a further update on them in just a little bit. But the fact that they were out there and the fact that they were taking regular shifts, I hope it is a positive sign. I hope it's a sign that they're going to be doing something in tomorrow's game, because that's what would really be nice if they're able to play tomorrow. All right, next one here, and I'm trying to see if this is the same guy. I got this question earlier. I responded to this guy because I wanted him to follow up on it, and I've got to see if he did that. But here's the question. It comes from David. He said, when will management realize that Jared Boll needs to be watching from the press box? He is horrible. And my question back was, before I answer this on the show, I would like for you to tell me why he is horrible. And I don't see that he responded to that. There's another David that has something to do with Jared Boll. Well, let me read this other David's comments, and then I'll get to the whole thing here. David Sink is the second David in this. He says the penalty that Jared Boll took that led to the 1-1 tie was bad. Jared wears an A on his jersey. Okay. It's a goalie's first start ever. Jared Boll has to be a better leader in his role. I also hope we didn't pay the skills coach much. 1 assist in 11 games is not good. On a positive note, I thought Forsberg looked very comfortable when he made some quality saves. 2 power play goals, and one he never saw. Well, that's all true. So I don't know. Either there are 2 Davids all over Jared Boll, or this is 2 different accounts. Either way, it doesn't matter. Okay, Jared Boll did take an elbowing penalty, and yeah, it was a bad penalty. I'll give that to you. But what you may not realize is that, I talked a little bit earlier here how you make mistakes when you're out on an extended shift, and really that's what led to that whole thing, because as a group, not just him, but the 5 guys that were on the ice at the time, as a group, they couldn't get the puck out of their own zone. He was stuck out there for a long period of time, and again, you get to a point where maybe you try to do one thing too many, and he got caught with an elbow, and he takes a penalty. Yeah, okay. So, if they kill off that penalty, then you don't have anything to say about that. He's not the only guy that took penalties in that game. That one resulted in a goal. What about the other one that resulted in a goal? You're singling out Jared Boll. The way this team is right now, do you think the biggest problem on this team is Jared Boll? Do you think that just explain this one to me. If you're going to take Jared Boll out of the lineup, who are you going to put in the lineup? First of all, there are no bodies. 0. No bodies whatsoever. And to say that he wears an A on his sweater and therefore he has to play better, are you kidding me? So you're going to tear apart every little tiny mistake that this guy makes and let other guys go scot-free? There is nobody that's going to go out there and play harder in the limited minutes that he's going to get than Jared Boll. And this is not I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand. I don't understand how Jared Boll's a 4th-line player. He knows his role. Should he go out there and take a penalty in limited minutes? No, he shouldn't. But it's going to happen, is it not? And it happened, and they scored a goal in that instance. But to pick on him, to say he should be in the press box, or to say that he should play better, he's out there doing the best that he can. I think he's the least of the problems on this team. And I've told you this before, and I'll tell you again, and you don't care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The other things that he brings, what he's saying on the bench, what he's saying in the room, the leadership qualities of it. I know many of you don't put much of a value on that because you see him as a very small-rolled player on this club. I'm telling you, it's big. I'm telling you, the guys look up to this guy. He's been here longer than anybody. He gets it. He's been here in terrible times. He's been here in good times. He made a mistake. It resulted in a goal. Was he the only guy that made a mistake in that game? No, he wasn't the only guy that made a mistake in that game. What about Ryan Johansson? Trying to deck his guy in front of the net and accidentally pushing him in front of Anton Forsberg so he couldn't see the shot that led to the third goal, which turns out to be the game winner. Where's that? Well, he played over 22 minutes. He's probably tired. Oh, okay. But do you see my point? Everybody makes mistakes. Jared Boll, in my opinion, has done nothing to warrant not being on the ice for this team. Really, he's done nothing. I don't get it. I don't get why of everything in that entire game that you could be upset with, that you come out on Jared Boll. Because there are a lot of other things you could go for first. The fourth line at times is going to make mistakes. Michael Chaput will make mistakes. Adam Cracknell will make mistakes. Corey Tropp will make mistakes. And Jared Boll will make mistakes. But I think Jared Boll is a far more responsible player than he is a mistake player. And especially right now. I mean, all year. People were asking in the summer. And rightfully so. They had a legitimate argument. How does Jared Boll fit into this team? Came out and he had a great training camp, even scored a couple of goals. But he's consistent. Took a bad penalty, got caught on an extended shift, tried to do something too much to get the puck out of the zone. I get it. But that part I get. I get you being upset about that, but like for somebody to say, well, he deserves to sit in the press box, for what? For what? For one mistake? If we're going to put everybody that makes one mistake in the press box, we're going to have a lot of guys in the press box. So there. Let me see. Zach Snyder wants to know, what were the guys' reaction to Gibbons' play? Think he sticks around when the injured return? He's got a good chance, but he is and then Zach follows up. Good job, Zach. You followed up on your own question. Think he sticks around given his play continues. Well, that's the key, and that's just what I was going to say. He can't just go out there and do that one day. He's got to come out here and do it again tomorrow. He's got to do it Friday. Every time they put him in the lineup, he has to be a factor. Because once you're on that shuttle, once you're on that Springfield Columbus shuttle, every time you get a chance to play here, you have to prove this is where you belong. And you don't belong on the shuttle going back there. So that'll be the key. But if he utilizes his speed like he did the other night, his quickness, all those things, all the attributes that he has, he's got a very good chance of staying here, even when the other guys are back. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Stacy wants to know, what are your thoughts on Anton Forsberg's play on Saturday? I thought Anton Forsberg did really exactly what they asked of him to do, exactly what they needed him to do. I thought for the most part he looked pretty calm in the net. I know he had to be nervous early. It was his first NHL game. Of course he was going to be nervous. He did. I thought he was fine. I thought he was fine. There were a couple of times that maybe he overcommitted on the slide or he was a little bit out of position, but all in all, big deal. For a guy making his first start, he did a good job. And I thought the guys in front of him played extremely well, and they gave him chances. They gave him an opportunity to make saves for the most part. So I had no problem with his play. If they put him back in there tomorrow, I'm not saying they're going to, but I said if they did, it wouldn't bother me in the least. One thing about that, though, Todd Richards was asked on Saturday, are you starting him? Are you sending a message by starting him? And Todd said no, he wasn't sending a message. But was he? And here's what I mean. I did not think Curtis McElhaney played very well on Friday night. Nobody did. That was a team loss. That was a total team effort loss Friday night. Okay, I'll give you that. So anyway, you have a chance to start another goalie. You know as a coach, when you put in a rookie goalie, first you have to make sure he's ready and think he can handle it. And they did. They thought that. So there's step one. But step two is you're putting responsibility not just on him, but on everybody. You're basically saying to everybody, hey, tighten up the defense, play the game the way you're supposed to. This kid's going to make his NHL debut, and do you want a loss being hung around your neck because you didn't play well, because you didn't do your job? And guys feel responsible, and there was no way they were going to allow that to happen. So he may not have been directly sending a message, but they played differently. I said this during the game the other night. I'll say it again. I think one of the biggest fallacies in this game is when players look you in the eye and say, well, we don't play differently in front of goaltenders. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And it's okay. You can tell me whatever you want. I don't care. It's fine. Maybe you don't even know. But yes, you do. Because if you have a goaltender that you feel completely confident in standing behind you, that you know is going to make every stop, you'll take a risk. If you have a guy playing behind you that in your mind you're going, if I take a risk and it goes bad, he might give up a goal. You're not going to take the same risk. You're just not. That's just the way it is. So when you get a rookie goaltender in there, who's never played in the league before, he's going to be going up against guys like Jaromir Jagr, for crying out loud. You want to make sure you're doing your job responsibly. You're defending responsibly and giving him the opportunity to make the saves. And they did that the other night. They did. And as somebody said earlier, 2 power play goals and 1 goal we didn't see. But I thought he was fine. I would still prefer to have Sergei Bobrovsky in net. That's no offense to either one of those guys. So would you, because he's the number 1 guy. He's the guy that's earned that job the last couple of years. And when he is back to full health or full enough health, he'll go back in there. Until then, these guys can battle it out. I think the good thing about it is the way that Anton played in the game. Now you can have a competition between he and McElhinney because it doesn't matter who the 2 goalies are. They still have to push one another to put you in the best situation. You can't have, like, Sergei Bobrovsky knows that he's the number 1 guy. But Curtis McElhinney will never back off in practice and just concede the number 1 position. I mean, he knows his role and he accepts it and all that stuff. But every day he goes and practices, he's looking to get a start. He's looking to be the number 1 guy. So even though Bob knows he's number 1, he knows this guy is pushing hard too. And if there's any faltering on my part, he's going to go in. That's what you have to have at that position for it to be good. There has to be that sense of competition. There has to be 2 guys that are trying to outdo the other one responsibly. Not doing crazy stuff, just, their mechanics, their positioning, all that stuff. You want to push the other guy. And I think the way Anton Forsberg played the other night, that as long as Bobrovsky is out, and let's hope that's not much longer, there's enough of a competition there for the 2 guys that are here to push each other. To me, that's a positive. Of course, I'm not a starting goalie, or I'm not a goalie looking for playing time. So, of course, it's positive to me. I'm not losing any time because of it. Courtney Matthews. Do you know when Calvert will return? Not yet. As I said, he skated this morning. And who do you think will start in net tomorrow? I think I would be surprised if he doesn't go back to Curtis McElhinney. And as I say that, Sergei Bobrovsky just came out the tunnel and is coming out to skate on the ice here after practice. On his own, he'll take some shots. So how good is that? How good is that to see? James Wisniewski also skated on his own this morning too. So that's something else I forgot to tell you. What else? Where else are we going with this today? Let's see. Oh, David has gotten back to me. He said, I agree with some of your response, just not all of it. Agree to disagree. Still look forward to your show every day regardless. All right, yeah, we don't have to agree about everything, even though I'm right. We don't have to agree. It's a joke, David. It's a joke, David. That's what it's all about. Dan James says Jared Boll's leadership is hard to come by, and it's good to see you stand behind his character. Absolutely. And and some people, when you say that, the first thing they say is character's not scoring goals, character's not winning games. Yeah, it is indirectly. It is indirectly. What would you rather have? A guy with no character? Guy that's a bum? Guy that's out there collecting a paycheck and not trying? Doesn't care? Anyway, maybe I'm going overboard now, but thanks for that response. I do appreciate that. Let's see thought maybe I had an update. I don't have any updates. Let's see what's going on. Well, last night. Was this last night? Yeah. Can somebody please explain to me how the Carolina Hurricanes, what happened to the Los Angeles Kings? What happened to the LA Kings? I would just like to know that. I would love to know, because when we left Los Angeles last Sunday, they had just won 6 in a row. Then they went on the road, and they are abysmal. They have lost. I mean, they lost in Carolina 3-2. They lost in Detroit. They lost in Pittsburgh. I mean, they went on the road, and all of a sudden they've gone to pot, as my grandmother would say. So Carolina wins 3-2. Again, this is where you hope that Carolina's having a letdown tomorrow after coming off that win. The Buffalo Sabres win in a shootout. What was going on yesterday? How did the Sabres and the Hurricanes win on the same day? That's unheard of. Battling for that number 1 overall pick spot. These guys are winning. 3-2, Sabres win in a shootout over the Detroit Red Wings. Montreal gets pounded by Calgary 6-2 yesterday. Arizona beats Washington. Thank goodness for that. But 6-5 was the final. Obviously, great defense and goaltending in that game. The Ducks were a 3-2 winner over the Avalanche. The Blackhawks, they're struggling too now. They lose to the Winnipeg Jets at home, by the way, 1-0. And Nashville continues to roll. They beat Vancouver 3-1. 3-1, not bad. All right, tonight, St. Louis is in New York to take on the Rangers. That is a lone game tonight. All eyes in the NHL on that one tonight. So, that'll be a good one, too. It's like one of the very few times I'll root for St. Louis in my life, right there in that game tonight. So that'll be interesting. That's what's on the NHL slate for tonight. Let's see. Amanda Little would like to know any word on Dubinsky's return, and loved the show. Thank you, Amanda. No, Brandon's still, his injury is, I know they said 4 to 6 weeks when he went out. And just from talking to him in California, I just think it's more toward the 6 weeks because of what he had done with the abdominal surgery. So, hopefully he's on his way back. Rob Mixer just tweeted Sergei Bobrovsky's going to go for a light skate. He's late on that. I've already broken that news. He's late. I just like to pick on Rob because he's not here to defend himself. And even if he were, I'd still eat him alive. Dan wants to know, how do you feel about the performance of Springfield players overall thus far? It's been fine. It's been fine. I just, well, let's see who. Again, I don't consider Brian Gibbons. I know he was in Springfield, but to me, he's still he was an NHL player in the playoffs last year, playing with Sidney Crosby. So, he came from Springfield, but I don't really look at him as a Springfield player. He's done fine. Sean Collins, I like Sean a lot. I think Sean Collins is one guy, and no one will probably ever ask me about him. But since you brought up Springfield and he just came up, let me tell you, I love what this guy does. He always comes up with the right attitude. He fits perfectly in his role. He knows what his role is. Go out on the fourth line, be responsible, play with a big body, crash the net when you can, block shots, all that dirty stuff that nobody wants to do. That's your job, Sean. Okay. That's what he does. He goes out and he does it. Again, smart kid, went to Cornell. He knows he's finding a way to get some time in the National Hockey League, and it's just by doing what he's asked to do. I love that kid. I really do. I think he's great for this organization because every time he comes up, he just goes out and he does his job. Doesn't complain, never hear anything from him, just goes out, boom, done. Hey, I need you to play 8 minutes tonight. Good. Just tell me, coach. Tap me on the shoulder. I'll go. So I really like what he's done. And he's done, and you might say, well, what has he done? Nothing. Well, you know what? Sometimes when you're on that line and you're playing that role, it's more about defense than it is offense. And I like him. He's a good kid, and I think he's a good player, and I really appreciate guys that know what their job is, and they just go out there and do it. I really do. Jeremy Gray kind of disagrees with me a little bit here. He says it's a mistake not having a better backup. Sergei Bobrovsky needs to feel some real competition for the number one job so that he is not complacent. Okay, Jeremy, here's my argument to that. Number one, he's not complacent. He's never complacent. He knows if it gets bad, Curtis is going in there no matter what. He knows that. You may not think he knows that, but he does. This guy's not a complacency guy. This guy, the guy that works out like he does, the guy that rides the bike as much as he does, the guy that does extra work as much as he does. How does the guy get hurt? He got hurt in practice. Why was he practicing on a Monday after he just came back from California? Why was he doing that? He could have gotten out of that practice. I'm sure if he said, I don't feel like going on the ice, I just played 3 games in 4 days or 3.5 days. How about give me a day off? They would have said, yeah, sure, no problem. So why was he out there? I'll tell you why he was out there. Because he's not complacent. Because he wants to work. He wants to get better and better and better, and he's going to work hard. And an unfortunate thing happened while he was working hard. Okay. So my point is, he knows he's a number one guy, but he also knows that he has to be good and he has to get better. Now, the other thing about that is, when you go to get a backup goaltender, first of all, if you think that it's easy just to go out and get a more experienced guy that's going to be happy playing 10 games a year, you're sadly mistaken. You have to have the right guy with the right mindset that's going to be willing to come in and do all that. All right? That's hard to find. And when you already have 2 guys that get along well, and a guy that understands the role that he's going to be in Curtis McElhaney, and you went to the playoffs and you got, 6 games into the first round, and you think you could do better. I mean, it's only an issue now because Bob got hurt. If he was still healthy, would you even bring it up? No, you wouldn't. So, I understand where you're going with that, but I don't think it's the big deal that you're making it out to be. And who are you going to go get? Who are you going to get? Are you going to ask Thomas Vokoun to come in and play and pay him who knows what to have that role and be okay with that and to play maybe 10 games a year? Or are you going to ask Martin Brodeur? He wasn't going to do it. He might do it now because he still doesn't have a job. Do you want him now, a month into the season after he hasn't had a job at his age? Probably not. So I'm just saying, it's, sometimes you take some calculated risks with the guys that you sign or you don't sign. And when you have a guy where you feel that things are working, why upset the apple cart? You have so many other things to worry about. They knew they had a Johansson situation to address. The RJ Umberger thing, trying to trade him. There was a lot of balls in the air. Was that really worth getting into all that? And going to find another goalie and that you had hoped was going to play 10 games throughout the course of the season. And you don't know about injuries. I get that. You don't know. And it happened. Okay, so be it. You get through it. You find a way. I mean, this is – I personally think that if Sergei was the only guy injured and everybody else was healthy and you had your regular lineup except for Sergei Bobrovsky, it'd be a different story. All Jeremy Gray wants Ilya Bryzgalov. Yeah. What a great idea. Jeremy, do you understand that I think I just said this, somebody that's going to fit in? What has Ilya Bryzgalov's problem been the last couple of years? He hasn't been able to fit in. He did fine in Minnesota last year, was playing for them in the playoffs. Why didn't they bring him back? They have goaltending. Well, they don't really have. Darcy Kemper's played well. But, I mean, why does he not have a job? Does that not ring a bell with you? That if guys like that have had success all of a sudden can't get jobs, there's a reason? That something's not clicking? Yeah. Yeah, that and I don't know what it is, but what is the relationship between Sergei Bobrovsky and Ilya Bryzgalov? Any idea? Because I don't know what it is. I would make a guess that would be kind of weird. It's just a guess. So this is not fantasy hockey, okay? And I think this is where in fantasy hockey, it's easy. You draft players, their name's on a sheet of paper, they go out and they put up stats, and that's how you score points. Easy. You don't have personalities that clash. You don't have any of the human element. It's not human. They're real people's names, but they're not real people. Same thing. You know what I mean? It's got to fit. It's got to fit within the context of the whole deal, or it doesn't work. So Just saying. Just saying. I don't know Ilya Bryzgalov beyond saying hello to the guy. I really don't. But I know this. He's played in the NHL. He's had success. He doesn't have a job. There's a reason those things happen. That's all I'm going to say about it. And on that note, I don't know what else there is to say. You know, sometimes things happen in the universe that you just can't figure out and you can't understand. The worst thing for Ilya Bryzgalov, in my opinion, was at 24/7 on HBO. When he started talking about the universe and he got painted as just being out there. And I don't think he's ever recovered from that. And I think it affected his game. I think it's just affected everything with him, quite frankly. In any event, that'll do it for today's show. Blue Jackets and Carolina Hurricanes here tomorrow. Talk to you again tomorrow on Game Day.
I'll talk to you later. Don't want to hear it again tonight. I'll talk to you later. Just save me for another guy. I'll talk to you later. Don't want to hear it again tonight. I'll just see you around.